on Adulting with Grace, we have a very special, very, very special guest. Even though I feel like I'm the guest because I'm currently staying with her here in El Paso, but we have the...
Oh gosh.
you knew it was coming. We have the Bea Martinez, and over as a sports journalist on ABC7 here in El Paso, Texas, doing big things. I mean, you've only been...
It's actually was my 1 year, January 15th. So a little bit over a year now.
Yeah. So I originally met Bea in, what's it called? At church.
Yeah.
And what's it called? The House of the Lord.
I know.
Yeah, I met her there, and there's been a couple times where we ran into each other and was trying to connect.
I was very stubborn.
I wasn't even going to bring that up, but since you brought it up, no, it just wasn't. We just weren't at a place, and our schedules were different too.
Yeah.
But when we did start to connect, we found out that we essentially grew up like in the same parts of town. Chandler. C-Town.
480.
Yeah.
You know the deal.
We went to the same junior high. We played at the same high school with high school ball. But Bea's like a superstar athlete. I mean, she played ball, but then she also ran track. And like when I went into her bathroom, she has like all her track. just throwing it out there, all her championship rings, all 4 years, by the way. Yeah. But then, so we found that out, and then also that we're in similar fields with being in film, and then you obviously with being on live television and all that too. So I was like, oh my gosh, can we please be best friends? Like as soon as I met her type of thing. And she has an adorable son.
And dog.
Yeah, you might see him pop up. But yeah, Bea's just awesome, and I've had the opportunity to kind of like see her journey, her transition too. And even when I first met you, like I said, we kind of like met in passing, but once we really started like to get together and connect, like there was such a shift that I could just tell was like really evident, and that like what it was that God was doing in your life. And so with all that to say, thanks for coming on board with Adulting with Grace. But yeah, we just kind of want to like get to know in terms of like, how did you get here and where it is that you're at? What was the journey like, the steps? So yeah, you take it away. You do this.
Okay, I'll take over. So I got my bachelor's at Academy of Art University. At the time, I think it was the only art school in the NCAA. But I got my my bachelor's in communications and media technology. So I was still in the same field, but it was just not like that big of an emphasis on like the writing portion anyways. But I graduated with that, and then I was also running track and cross country there too. And then once I graduated, I was just like, okay, what's next? And so I moved back home. It was a little bit discouraging just because I was trying to get my foot in the door, and it seemed like if you didn't graduate from ASU, like nobody was willing to give you a shot. And so that was really hard on me. And then I ended up actually becoming a personal trainer. So I started my own personal training business. It was pretty successful at a point, and then COVID hit. And so I lost a lot of my clientele. And then when I was 25, that's when I became a mom. And I feel like that's when the major shift happened for me. Yeah. I just learned so much at the age of 25, and just becoming a mom. And after COVID hit, and I have a COVID baby too. And
yeah, that's like a whole nother question in itself.
I know, right? And I was like, okay, well, I need to I stayed home for about 6 months after having my baby, which was a blessing. And then I was like, I need to get back to work just for my own mental being as well.
Yeah.
And so I started to build my clientele back up, but it just wasn't the same. And also just being a mom, it's like I needed something stable. And so I was like, okay, God, like, what's next for me? And there was a point where I was even helping my mom. Like, my mom has a cleaning business. And I remember there was just one night, like, because I was helping her just to help my mom because some things were going on with her side to where she didn't have any help. So she was doing all of it by herself. But then I was also gaining a little bit of income doing that. But it was just such a humbling season there because I was like, I remember just sitting down, and again, it's like 100 offices that we're cleaning in like a night.
Oh, wow.
And so it was just very humbling. And I was just like, God is like, there's no way like that this is going to be my life, especially as a mom, you know? And I always told myself, I was like, I'm never going back to school, just because that's like, that's the grind. God really was like, sis, you're going back to school.
Yeah, to get a master's too.
To get a master's.
As a mom. Yeah, that's a different level right there.
Yeah. And so I just remember praying about it. And so excuse our dog, or my dog. I'm like, our dog.
Feels like it.
So yeah, I just remember praying about it, and I was like, okay, God, like if this is what you want from me, if you want me to go back to school. And of course, like for me, it was like, I enjoy sports. I've played sports my entire life. That's what I'm good at. And then I also enjoy being on camera. Like I had done some, like I minored in acting. I did some modeling. And so I'm like, this is like a perfect combo for me. And so, yeah, God really just brought that on my heart, and I applied and I got in. So I was like, I had prayed. I was like, God, if I get in, I know that this is from you. And if I don't get in, I know that there's something else for me. But I really just trusted him. And yeah, I mean, ever since I've gotten in, since I got into this field, it's like no question that this is what God has for me. And just, there's so many little testimonies throughout my journey and so many blessings that I'm just like, God continues to send people in my life, whether if it's a stranger, but he'll send them to like, if it's like something so small, like quick example, like I remember we were at Super Bowl event. There was only 5 people in my cohort who were selected to go to the Super Bowl event. And again, you're meeting like the top people in the industry.
Yeah.
And the vice president of Fox like was watching me, I guess. Like I had interviewed one of I think it was Michael Strahan. It was Michael Strahan.
Yeah.
I had asked him like 2 questions, and she was like, after she came up to me and asked me, first she complimented my shirt. It was like an orange shirt. She was like, "Oh, it's so cute, thank you." She was like, "Who are you with?" And she thought it was like I was with a network.
Yeah.
I was like, "Sis, I'm actually just a student here. Like I just got the opportunity to come."
Yeah.
Fast forward, we're getting ready to head out, me and my other 4 colleagues, and these are like the people that I'm with, like my colleagues, are people who have like a prestigious resume. Like they've done internships with ESPN, like all this stuff, like top networks. And I'm like, I have nothing in my resume. Like it's literally just like kind of dead. Like still trying to build it. And she like had, I guess she had, one of my colleagues, she's such a great networker. Like I wish I was more like that with networking, because she's such a good networker.
Yeah.
And so she stayed, of course, got her contact info, like what I should have been doing. But God is so good. She came up to me, my colleague came up to me, and she was like, "Hey, this is Terry Hines, the vice president of Fox."
Wow.
Her number, she came up to me and she told me that you're going to be big one day.
Yep.
And I was like, what? Terry Hines, like such a legend. And like, so that's just like a little example, right? Of like that people who are high in the industry who can like see the potential of, what I have in this business. And so that's what, like, it's just little confirmations like that I've received from God, that I'm like, okay, God, like I know that I'm on the right path.
Yeah.
And then there was just, oh my gosh, thinking about like my journey while going to school. There was one semester I was obviously like, and being a single mom too, and on top of everything that I was going through with the father of my child, like court stuff and like just a lot of ugly stuff. And I was just in a really, I think that was the darkest season that I've ever been in my life.
Yeah.
Like there were times where I would wake up and I just feel like hopeless. Again, this was like a little bit more before I got into school. But still just like that feeling of like, I have no hope really.
Yeah.
And a lot of times I was questioning like God, but I hate to say it, but it's the truth. It was like, God, I don't know. Like, I just felt so lost. I felt so alone. But then obviously I started to just get myself more involved in the church and surrounding myself around other single moms too, like in the life groups. And they like, spoke life into me and really helped me just get out of that dark season. But if it wasn't for God, I genuinely would not have been able to make it out. But it's been great. Yeah. I just remember one semester, like I was, single mom, like working full time, doing an internship, going to school full time. So it's just like so much. I don't know. And I look back, I'm like, I don't know how I made it of that. Like through that semester, it was such a grind.
And you were commuting too. Like it wasn't like a close drive.
Yeah.
And yeah, you're working with a baby.
Yeah, working with a baby. Thankfully, like my family was like super helpful.
Yeah.
You know, my mom she's the best. She's like, she takes my son in as like her own too. And so she's just, she was just especially during that season, she was kind of like my saving grace in a way, because she really just showed up for me, showed up for my son. And at the time when I really needed it the most. And if you know, like my relationship with my mom at first was a little rocky just after my parents divorced. And so now that we've like rekindled our relationship and we're just like such in a different place now than we were before. And I just like, I just look at her completely different just because of how she's really like put stuff aside and really has just like showed up for me.
Yeah.
And then the craziest story is like from, you know, then after graduating with my master's, it's like, hey, what's next? I mean, thank you, God, because I already like my goal was to have a job before graduation. And that's exactly how it played out. 2 weeks before graduation, I knew where I was going to be spending the rest of my like 2-3 years of my life.
Yeah.
But not only, hey, sorry, Zorro's biting the cord. Do not. It's so crazy too, because before I had prayed about getting in this field, God put Texas in my heart for some reason.
Yeah.
Like Texas was always in my mind. And I was like, I don't know why it's Texas, but it was Texas.
Yeah,
and
you don't even have family out here or anything.
I don't have family out here. And so at one point I was trying to decide between two jobs. So it was Palm Springs, California, and here in El Paso, Texas. And of course, I was like, well, God had already instilled it in my heart that it was going to be somewhere in Texas.
Yeah.
So, of course, I decided to go with Texas. And ever since getting here, maybe he needs to go in his kennel.
You got it.
He's like, no, I want to be over here. Kennel.
That's good. Bro. He's a sweet dog, though.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, ever since, like talk about like taking a big risk, right? And like a big leap of faith is I left Arizona where all my family is to come to El Paso, Texas with my son, where I know absolutely nobody. We're right by the border. So my family was like, I don't know if that's such a good idea, but it's been super, like such a blessing coming here. Dream has like a sitter who was already like my boss's wife was like already offering to watch my son before I even accepted the job. Wow. So like when God has a mission for you and a plan for you, there's no way he's not going to like make it happen for you. So ever since here now we have our own little village, you know, our cute little home, like, you know, it's worked out for us here. So yeah.
That's awesome. Like there's, sorry, like even like what it is that you were like, mentioning to like just God's favor in the sense of like that you took a risk and like you were new at this, like it was just something like God dropped in your heart. You didn't, like you said, you had a whole bunch of colleagues that had a whole bunch of experience and he essentially set you apart, you know. And by the way, Bea's actually really good. I'm not just saying that as her friend. Like I saw like videos of her and I'm like, oh my gosh, like give it 2 years, guys. She's going to be on ESPN.
Thank you.
Interviewing Devin Booker. But yeah, like there's just, and so I met you around the time where you were transitioning. You were getting your master's in, and all
you were
that.
there literally during. I was like barely making it. And, like I don't think people knew, but I felt like you saw it somehow. Yeah. And that's why you kept kind of like, sis, like let's hang out. And I was always just like, no, just because I'm the kind of person that if I know I'm not gonna be able to like reciprocate good energy, if I'm just like not in a good space, I don't want to like feed off that negative energy. And so that's why, and again, being in a dark season, I was like, there's just no way.
We're just not gonna be. No, I get that. And like I think high school was when it hit for me, but I could just I could tell from being in a situation you know, when you are going through a lot in terms of like, you know, in a way kind of going through the motions. And so I guess I kind of like just sensed like that there was something going on.
Yeah.
In that, but also in a, you know, just also reaching out in a way of like, hey, like I see you, you know, but not in a way of like, tell me your deepest, darkest secrets. Like,
Yeah.
no, it was just very much like, and again, like I had no idea. I felt bad too because I kept like I'm like, she doesn't want to hang out, God. Like, I'm not gonna keep it. Why do you keep putting me in these situations? But then that's when we found out we had so much in common, and I was like, okay, she's cool. But no, like I want to meet you at that time, and then when we really started connecting, it was just like I've seen such a shift, and it was like really evident in like where you were at with the Lord in terms of trust, and I think that's like something that He was building in that season for you is a level of trust. And I have more questions.
Yeah, a level of trust. That's definitely, I mean, I feel like ever since I really started to like trust Him, it's like He continues to just like show up for me in so many different ways. But yeah, that was the biggest thing, is like trusting Him.
Yeah, it's never easy. I feel like that's always going to be the one lesson. Timing and trust. It's like we hear it so often.
Yeah.
But it's like it's something I think that we never will fully be able to grasp and understand. But looking back at that time, where you're at now, with everything that was going on, do you look at it like you're thankful for it because of where you're at now with the Lord? Or
definitely. And I'll say this for like anybody who's in a dark season right now. Like, of course, you don't see the light at the end of the tunnel when you're in the dark season.
Yeah.
And at the time, like I said before, like I was questioning Him so much. I'm like, why is this happening to me? Or, you know, but I never thought to think like, what am I supposed to be gaining from this? What is the lesson here? You know, at the time I was just, it's like I see no way out. But now that I look back, I see everything that He was doing. It's all for a purpose. Like, it was building me, the strength that I have gained since going through everything that I went through, the wisdom that I've gained, just the knowledge of just the word itself too, and trusting Him, and then seeing how like when you really abide by Him, how He like can reward you, you know. And I've seen the harvest, and I've seen it all just like come to life, and it's I'm so thankful, honestly. And I feel like He kind of knew, like even after graduating with my bachelor's, there was a reason why that door wasn't opening for me yet. You know what I mean? Like there were certain things. I started my own business. I also didn't mention, but I was a preschool teacher. Like I started my own business that was like maturity there, even more maturity with working with kids. It's like, oh, hey, you're actually going to be a mom in a few years. So I'm going to make you a preschool teacher so you gain some things.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Yeah. He was prepping me for what was to come, and I didn't. You know, at the time, I didn't know. Like, a personal trainer and a preschool teacher, it doesn't really make, they don't, you know. And so, when I look back, I'm so grateful for everything that I went through. And it's just shaped me to be who I am today. And I just don't think I could be doing what I'm doing now, like 5 years ago. Like, there was like a real, like, He was building me for this. And you know, and you just feel something big is coming. I feel something big is coming, and I feel like He's really prepping me for it.
Yeah.
And so it just continues though, right? It's like, even though I'm not in that dark season anymore, I'm still going through things, adversity. We all still face adversity in life. And those challenges just help you and shape you into what God has prepped for you in the future. And I feel like it's just a continuing process. Like it never stops. We never stop growing. At least like that's our goal, right? We want to keep learning, and that's just life. Life is going to keep throwing stuff at us, but it's just about how you handle things. And so far it's, I just, when I look back, I'm so grateful. There's no regret, honestly. There's no regret. Yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah, no. It's crazy how He does like prepare us. Like, and you don't even think of it. You don't even think of it. Yeah. It even says in scripture too. I think it's James 1, 2 through 3, but like count it pure joy when you face trials of various kinds, because it produces perseverance and character for us, right? So then we're able to receive able to receive what it is that he has for us, and then even you know, what it is that he's called us to like steward, you know, and you have a big field of influence too, you know, and so
I'm like, it's a bit much sometimes.
So even with that in mind, like what kinds of things, like because it's a very competitive field and there's a lot of things that go into it, and even you know, confidence wise, like what are some things that one, do you feel like he's even prepared you for in that season that you find now that in the field that you're in, that's like, okay, like I have this to lean on, but also like how has like him being your anchor like helped you in that? Because I get it, like I'm also in film, and so there's a whole bunch of like, this is how it has to be, this is how, and the pressure too, right? I mean, you're in the limelight. Me, I'm behind the camera, but like, you know what I mean? So it is like a sense of like, how do you go into what it is that you're doing with so much grace? Because really, even like going into the office with you and everything, like I mean, unless you're a really good actor, but I don't see you like stressed or anything. Like I really see the grace being evident, you know, in your life.
Man, it's because you weren't here during the first. Oh man, my mom witnessed it, honestly, and I prayed to God. I like literally asked for forgiveness, just because when I first started this job, it was very hard. Very hard. Like, this is a big girl job. Like, just a lot that I was doing, that I was so new to. You know, on top of like adjusting to a career, I was adjusting to a new place, to like who was gonna watch my son at the time. Like, it was just there was so much on my mind, and so just trying to learn, like being a sports reporter and anchor, it's like, you're not just the reporter or the anchor. Like, you're literally doing everything. I'm the editor. I'm the photographer. I'm like, everything that you see in my show, I do, except for the graphics. That's the only thing I don't do. And so it took a lot for me to just to just adjust to that. And then, when my mom was here, I just wasn't the nicest person. I will say that. And I even told her, like, I asked her, I was like, Mom, can you please forgive me for the way that I was just during that season? Because it was just like, again, it was just really hard and really stressful. And so I learned a lot there, right? God was teaching me a lot there too. And one of the biggest things now that I know that I need to work on is just like, when I do, I mean, you kind of saw a little bit yesterday, like when I have a lot on my mind, I kind of shut down in a way, you know? And there's, so it's kind of like like when your character is revealed with the frustrations in life, you know, that you deal with in life.
That's good, yeah.
And that's one thing that God really has instilled with in me this year. Is like, B, you need to work on, like, when things do frustrate you, you need to do better at like handling those emotions. And on top of that, it's like, I don't want my son to see like, oh, every time mommy gets frustrated, like she is just, you know, a mess, you know? Like, I don't want him to see that. I want, okay, when things get hard in life, you know, you just got to take a deep breath and just know that, like, just leave it all to God. What is it? Like 1 Peter 5:7, he tells us to cast our worries on him. And so he cares for us. And so that's one thing that I really need to that's one thing I'm really working on right now. But like you said, like, I go to the office and I'm not stressed out. That's because I had to go through what I had to go through, right? That season of stress, to get to where I am now, because now it's like, this work is light work, because it really is, because God has put me in situations where, like, I've traveled on the road, right, with a football team or a volleyball team, and I'm doing everything by myself. Like, I'm going live by myself, I'm writing, I'm editing, I'm doing everything by myself. And so God has put me in those situations. And so now it's like, if you ask me to go live by myself, that's no big deal. Like, that's like, but that's because God opened that door, and like, now I've built that confidence. But one thing he didn't prepare me for was like okay, sis, like people are going to recognize you now if you go to the store, or, you know, they're going to come up to you, say if you're having a bad day. Like there's been times where I'm like, I just want to get up and just not wear any makeup and just go to the store and not talk to anybody. You know, not that I
Not
run
anymore.
into, not that I run into that every time, but like people here in El Paso are really sweet and really considerate and kind. Like sometimes I know that they'll recognize me, but they don't come up to me. Like if they see I'm with my son, you know, I know that they won't come up to me, you know, so that's really respectful and I appreciate that. But there are just times like too, when you go to work and, you know, people see you on camera and they kind of built this, like, I hate to say it, but like people look at us as like characters, not really people. And so we get emails and stuff that some of them are really nasty. Thankfully, I haven't received any that were super gross, but there are some of my, you know, coworkers that do get really nasty emails. And that was something that I wasn't prepared for. And just the things that they say and just dealing with that, right? It's like I'm human too. There are times where I don't have a good day, you know, and I might be out and say if somebody does come up to me and I'm just not in a good mood and, you know, it just, you know, then people will say, oh, I ran into so-and-so at the store. She is not a nice person. Not that that's happened, but it's just like, you know, just having to prepare myself for that. And then the higher, obviously, you get, then the more you have to deal with that. And so I feel not that I'm a celebrity. I'm far from a celebrity. But, like, I really do feel for that. I've gotten, like, a taste of it. And it's like, dang, dude, like, they can't, like, LeBron James, like, oh, I'm so sorry. Like, he can't live a normal life, you know? Like, any of these athletes, too. But I've also learned a lot about these athletes. And a lot of these athletes aren't who you think they are, you know? They can put on a facade of, you know, being such a like great athlete or great person, but behind the scenes, sometimes they're just not always the nicest people, or coaches aren't the nicest as you know. So just also dealing with that. That's why I always encourage people, do not idolize these athletes, because at the end of the day, they also are humans, but you just, sometimes they're just not the kindest people. But
So you kind of already touched on it, but do you think quickly you might want to be able to mention a time where even if it was the move in general too, like the Lord like confirming, like you already had a little bit of those confirmations, but how has that boost your confidence? And like I don't know for me, but when that stuff happens to me, I'm like, wow, God really sees me. Like he knows me, like he knows what's best for me.
Exactly.
You know, so like maybe mention a time like that happened recently, or you know, regarding in the season and transition?
Well, yeah, I mean, it's been throughout kind of like my whole journey. There's been little, like, you know, moments where I'm like, okay, God, like, I know this is you. I know this is confirmation from you. But I'm trying to think of, like, recently. I mean, I guess I'm trying to think. Trying to like name something that I haven't already talked about.
You can share the El Paso one though, like the confirmation on even the next step.
Oh. Like I even forgot what we were talking about when we were in the car. Like I said it so like nicely. It was like nicely said at the time, but now I can't remember.
Oh wow.
And I'm like, wait, can you
no.
remind me? What did I say?
No, you're good. So you mentioned while I was visiting here that you mentioned that in that transition, I think this is like maybe like a week or two before you're heading out.
Yes. I was talking to
somebody at church.
And you know, I was telling her about the move, and I can't remember what she mentioned, if she had family here or something about her sister. I can't remember. But she had mentioned to me, she was like, you know, just that she was like, she's also Hispanic. And so she was like, you know, El Paso in Spanish means like the step. And so I was like, when she said that, I was just like, you're so right. Because again, while I was making the decision right between Palm Springs and El Paso, I had already made my decision on El Paso, but that was kind of like, and again, like God sending somebody else to remind me that this is the right decision.
Yeah.
And she was like, yeah, she just brought that up, and I was like, you're so right. Like, this is the step that I need to take. I don't know exactly what it is for. I mean, now I know I've gained so much and I've learned so much since being here, but this is the step that I needed to take, and I don't know where it's going to take me, right? And like where I'll be 2 years from now, but this is the step that I need to take in order to fulfill what God has planned for me.
Yeah. No, that's awesome. It's just even moments like that, like who you even are, right? With also being Hispanic, like how God like uses that.
Oh
as
my
well.
gosh. Yeah.
And yeah, it's just like nothing isn't there. Everything like has a purpose to it, you know?
No, that's true. And one of the biggest reasons why I do what I do, and God really placed this on my heart, he was like, when you look on ESPN, when you look on like Sports Center, what reporters, female reporters that you see are Hispanic? None.
Except B. Martinez.
I mean, I'm not yet. But so that was when, like, growing up, I never saw, I mean, like, again, we've been seeing more colored women in sports, right? Which is great. I love to see it. But yeah, when you look at news, right, there are more Hispanic, you know, reporters or anchors or whatever it may be.
Yeah.
But never in sports. Yeah. And that's one of my biggest whys. Is like, I'm doing this, again, for God, my son, my family, but also the minority. Like, I want young girls to be able to look on the screen when they, if a girl who's into sports, to look at the screen and see a Hispanic female reporter on ESPN or Sports Center or whatever, wherever it may be, whatever network it may be. But that's what keeps me going. Like, I remember I was at a football game, and like the cheerleader coach came up to me and like asked me to come and speak to like she's like, I want you to come and speak to like my girls and blah, blah, blah. So it's little things like that where I'm like, if I just want to be an inspiration, and I want to, you know, make a difference in this world.
Yeah.
Like, that's really what it is. And also I want my nieces to look at me and be like, wow, like my auntie did that, or my nephews be like, you know, society, the government does not dictate our success. And that's one thing that I really want to instill in my family. And just like, nobody in my family has ever, I mean, I say this humbly, but like, they've never done anything to this, like, you know, like this level of like, I don't even know how to say it, but like
this field.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like, nobody's ever done this. Nobody, like I do come from a family, like my parents, I think their highest level of education was like middle school. My siblings, I mean, they were dropouts of high school, but they have their own businesses. So like, they're doing fine. You know what I mean? But like, I have my master's, like I'm here, like, you know, like, I don't think it's even processed in my family hasn't processed exactly everything that like is going on. Like, I'm in a whole new state, and I'm like, yes, like I'm on. I think the biggest thing for them is like, oh, she's on TV, you know? Like, she's like, oh, that's so cool. I get to say my sister's on TV. But like, they don't, again, even my family doesn't even understand everything that I do. And I think that's, a lot of people don't really understand everything that we do. They think we just go on cam and look pretty and read, and no, we're done with work. No, sis, I wish.
You have your own makeup artist.
Yeah, I know. We get that a lot. A lot of people think we have our own makeup artist. I'm like, no, not yet, at least.
You didn't even go for school for makeup too. It just looks bomb though.
Oh, thanks. Thanks. I had to learn too, right, to do my makeup, because that was another transition. It was like I was a tomboy, you know, like I didn't wear makeup. Like, I'd be like, let's go run 8 miles and then just go to class, and like, sis, I'm good. Like, you know, like that was it. So like, I'd go to class like sweaty, like after
that
practice,
was me. That was me. Like,
so bad. Now that I look back at it, like I should have showered.
They're fine. There's
I
deodorant.
didn't have time. Well, like, listen, I was in the trenches trying to get my education and trying to succeed in track. But yeah, it was so weird too. Like, dressing up every day, like that was also a transition. Like, you know, so just wearing makeup every day and then like dressing up every day. Now I'm accustomed to it, but that was also like another transition. But yeah.
No, I feel that. So you mentioned that you were in a really dark season at one point. How did you, and at that time, it was like the Lord dropped that in terms of like, this is what it is I have called you to do. Mm-hmm. How in that season have you been able to not essentially claim that as your identity? Because I think that's something very easily where something has happened to us or we're going through something and we just, I don't see myself in that. Like, what were the steps for you or like, what was it? in that?
Well, I'm just gonna be completely honest. Like, obviously, I was living in a relationship full of sin, right? And so, at the time, like, and this is one thing, at least like with your question, regarding your question, this is one thing that, like, again, it's like the hardest thing. People see you as a single mom, or and they can see you as like, oh, like what, like, obviously she committed sin to get to where she is, which I'll be honest about it. Yeah, like I was, and but I think for me, the biggest thing that I had to, the biggest step that I had to take, in just knowing that I was in a relationship, like, full of sin. And then, of course, like, I had the biggest, my son is the biggest blessing in my life.
I was just going to say, like, that's the greatest gift.
That's the greatest gift. And although things didn't work out with the father of my child, and, and that was, there's so many, that right there was the hardest thing for me was, this was the first guy that I actually was like, okay, like, I actually see a future with this guy. And I, of course, like, we were actually trying at one point, so, and that's how it happened. When we stopped trying, that's when it happened. Yeah. And so it's like, I actually wanted a future with this guy. And for me, that was one of the hardest things for me to accept, was the fact that it wasn't going to work out. It wasn't going to be with this guy. But look at the bright side. We have such a beautiful, healthy son. Yeah. The hardest step that I had to take for me to let go. We are not prisoners of our past, right? Yeah. And so that was the hardest thing, to forgive the father of my child and to accept God's forgiveness. That was the biggest step. But what helped me get to that point and understand, just get to that state of mind, if I didn't involve myself, if I wasn't getting myself involved in the church, and when I say that, I mean getting myself around, surrounding myself around women, other single moms who are going through things that I was going through. And what humbled me is that there were single moms who were going through something way worse than me. Yeah. And I was here like, like, I'm just like, I have it worse than everybody in the world. No, sis, that was really humbling, was to realize, like, you do not have it bad, when you really take a look back and, like, just consider, and, like, just, like, again, just surrounding yourself around other people who just are also, right, or going through things, but are also, like, God is their anchor. So it's like, just seeing them and how they navigate through things, and then helping them to also just like speak life into you and to uplift you and making sure you're good. Yeah. And that was really, like, I remember I'd go to church and they'd be like, you can't do it alone. Like, you got to surround yourself, in the church community. Yeah. And I'd be like, sure. Yeah. Okay. It's so true. I know. Right. And so, yeah, that really helped me though. And it's crazy to see, like, where it's gotten me. And I mean, I'm not going to lie, there are still times, like, healing it's a process. And especially for me going through this, the hardest thing that I've ever had to go through, I never saw myself as a single mom. I always wanted that family dynamic. And I didn't want to be like my parents, they got divorced when I was in middle school. And so that was the hardest pill to swallow. But now seeing where, the father of my child and, like, where we are now, it's like, gosh, like, it's been, like, both of us really, like, God had to put both of us through what we went through for us to get to this, like, place where we are now. Like, we're so cordial. Like, that's a huge blessing in itself. Yeah. Yeah. So, yeah, but for me, for sure, forgiveness, that's, like, one of the biggest steps that I had to take. Yeah. So.
That's so good. There's, like, so many, I mean, there's a couple things that you said, right? Like, regarding the fact that you can't do it on your own. Yeah. So, like, literally just going to church, you found just wasn't enough, And then, like, well, one, I just want to give you props, because with going through something like that, you don't necessarily want to surround yourself with people, let alone share what's going on. Exactly. And so for you to do that, but also seeing how healing it is, and it talks about that, like, in scripture, so that's awesome, and it's so needed. What would you say to someone, maybe even a single mom or somebody that is going to take a big step or something like that, like what things would you have to say in looking back at everything?
Well, first, there's always that one, like, I hate this saying, but like people are like, oh, once you have a kid, like your dreams are over or like your life is over.
Yeah.
My life has just started.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? Like, that's literally how it's been for me.
Yeah.
This is the best since my son has been born. So 3 years now. It's the best 3 years. Like, yes, I went through the darkest season in my life, but like I had to get through that. I had to get, I had to go through that to get to where I am now. But like, man, like that is so not true. It is so not true. And I hate when I hate to use the word hate, but it's really like, I don't like to use it, but it's like, yeah, no, like when just, I just like want, it just bothers me when I see like such a talented woman or, you know, and she, you know, just doesn't really pursue her dream because of her son, which I get it, like true, but it's also a sin to like revolve your entire life around your kid.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And so that's another thing I had to learn. Like I was like the very protective, like, oh no, like I'm staying by my son's side, blah, blah, blah. But then I learned through going to church too, is like, that's actually sin, you know? And so, so I would say that, like, don't fall into that saying or like that narrative of if you have a kid or, you know, your life is over. That's so not true.
Yeah.
So not true. But the other thing that I would say is when God gives you a vision, it's not for people to understand. You know, it's like when
It was
went
for
back to
you.
school. Exactly.
It was for you.
It was for you.
Yeah.
And so there's going to be times too where maybe people aren't really seeing, like I've had like listen, my parents are very traditional. They're like, how are you going to survive? Like, you know, they're realist. And at the time I didn't know I was going to survive.
I'll get back to you.
I get back to you, but God gave me a vision. So I'm going to pursue that vision and abide by him and trust him. And that's exactly what I've been doing. Even through all the hardships that I've been through, I'm still here. And I'm still like, I just continue to lean on him. And again, not to my understanding, but his. And it's so funny now, because it's not funny, but it's such a beautiful thing, because now my family, they literally like, they salute me because they're like, wow, like, we didn't know how you were going to make it. And we continued to question you, but you continued to trust in the Lord. And now he's like really rewarded you, and they see it. And now they're like, oh, wow, you know?
Yeah.
And so, yeah, that's one thing. If God gives you a vision, and again, like, I feel like they're like, well, how do I know if it's a vision from God? Like if it's to serve, like,
If it's too big
exactly.
to do on your own,
exactly,
that's when you know it's from God.
exactly. And so I would say that, I would give that advice. And then to anybody who is like, I guess, wants to be a sports journalist, is just know that it's a grind, but it's if you're like on a path with Christ, and you're in your walk with him, and you're also pursuing this, like you have such a big purpose in this field, because you can reach so many people, like with the platform that we have. Like, I've dealt with so many athletes and players who are followers of Christ, which is such a beautiful thing to see. And so, like, I've done stories, right, where I'm like, okay, in our field, it is like number one rule to not include like religion. And I don't know if people know that, but like, we don't, like, they try to like refrain from religion. And me, I'm like, I'm not gonna stay away from that, because their faith is a huge part of their story. We're storytellers. So who am I to keep out that big part of their life if that's a part of his story or her story? Like the football head coach, Scotty Walden, he is a big like man of like true man of God. And like, I remember we were doing it was like a 5-minute piece, and I was like, there's no way I'm leaving that out, because he talks about his faith in God and his relationship and his path to get to where he is now, and how God really helped him. And there's no way I'm leaving that out. There is no way. And so there's been a few stories where I've, you know, a few athletes and coaches that I've worked with, and I never leave that part out. If they mention it, I never leave it out.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So that's another, so like, you can use this platform, right, to also, share people's stories on, of course it just gives people, I feel like the viewers a bigger and better appreciation for the athletes,
For sure. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Last question.
Oh gosh.
What does adulting with grace mean for you in this season right now?
Adulting with grace. Adulting with grace, I think it goes back to trusting.
Yeah.
Because every time that I question, or I'm just like, how am I gonna pay this bill when I just paid over what for this one. Yeah. Now I'm gonna be left with this for groceries. And God always, literally always comes through for me. And he's opened doors where of course, I have so on top of doing what I do, I also have a side gig with side on reporting with ESPN Productions. And that is such a blessing within itself, because that has I will have more than enough because of that little gig that God, opened for me. And so, there's been times where I'm like, I don't know how I'm going to do this, or and God always comes through. And it's not even that, but also just the emotional, just obviously being a single mom and doing what I do, it's very, very difficult, and it can be emotionally draining and physically draining. But God just will sometimes just literally just be like, whoop, it's with the spirit just is well, you're good now. So so it's just trusting in him. And I just know that God's always going to come through. So it's why do I worry? Even though we're human, right? We do worry and we natural. Do stress. Yeah. But I always know he comes through. And so that's why, and even with relationships, it's just I know God will eventually just bring me the, my future husband, and it's just trusting in him. Of course, God isn't going to do the dating for us. We got to get, we got to do the dating.
He's not going to show up at the front door.
No, okay. And I can't, that's another, I don't know. That's a whole nother story, but that's a whole nother one.
Too.
I know, for real. But just really trusting in him, I would say. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, you're amazing.
You're amazing.
No, stop.
I'm
talking right now.
Oh, wait, I have to say, okay, wait. So she came to my job. She came to my job. Everybody absolutely loves her. And she was walking out of the car, and one of our photogs walked out of the car. And he came into our office after, so they met.
Bea has a dope office, by the way. There's a little basketball hoop. It's pretty dope.
And okay, so we're gonna fast forward. So they meet. Okay, a few hours later, or was it minutes later? I can't remember. Jerry, who is my photog, our photog.
Hey, we're talking.
He comes into the office, and you need to make sure you write this in your notebook. Okay. He comes into our office, and he was like, "I have something to tell you." What did he say? He was like,
"Hey, I got something to tell you."
Yeah, he goes, "I have something to tell you." Yeah, and I was like, what?
I got scared.
I know, me too. The way he said it, I was like, "Wait, bro, why are you coming at my girl?"
On assignment.
Yeah, yeah. And then he goes, he's like, "As soon as you walked out of the car, I felt this energy from you." And he was like, "You just," what did he say? He's like, I don't even remember what he said, but he was like, "You just have such a good energy about you." And he was like, "You're going to go places with that energy. You're just going to go places." And I think that for you was just something again, God sends people to give you the confirmation that you needed. And he literally used Jerry.
Yeah. A stranger had a 0.5-second conversation
literally
with him. And that was very timely, and had to wipe the tears a little bit. But that was awesome. Yeah. For sure. Yeah.
And that's big for somebody to just meet you. And again, you literally just got out of the car. And he felt it. He felt it. So I was like, she's filled with the Holy Spirit. Yeah. That's why.
Yeah.
So that's just, he just, again, he came back in my office and was like, I don't know if I scared her. And I was like, no, dude. I was like, honestly, she needed to hear that. Yeah. God really used you. And he was like, yeah, that girl's going to go places. She's going to go far in life. And so that was really sweet.
Yeah. Yeah. Hopefully with you too. We got to do something together for sure.
Yeah, for sure. I know.
Yeah. Yeah, literally I got to know Bea, and she's like, "Yeah, I'm leaving." I was like, "What the heck?"
Oh, yeah. I was like, by the way, I'm moving to Texas.
I was like, "What the heck?" I just found my bestie.
And we're close by, so.
Yeah. So. But yeah, thank you for sharing. And you know this, God has huge plans for you. And
Likewise.
yeah, I'm super excited, and I'm just really proud of you. Like I said,
you.
like with the fact that I saw that transition in a sense of like that shift of like I could just tell from someone who personally has also experienced some things that there was some stuff going on, but then for you to lean into God like wholeheartedly was so evident in the transformation of like even just like what Jerry was talking about, just like that 1 minute interaction, you know. And so you're going places, you know, the fact that you know, you as a mom as well, like you're a great mom.
Thank
you really
you.
are. And yeah, I'm excited, and yeah, it's gonna be tune in on ABC7.
I'm just so proud that I made this without crying.
We're not done yet. No,
No, because I was like, you better not cry.
Yeah.
And so I didn't cry, so I'm very proud of
yeah,
myself.
I'm not done though. No,
man. No.
No, but I really am proud of you.
Thank
and
you.
I'm super excited. And yeah, I mean, like you said, you don't know where the next step is, but
Yeah.
you know, you're definitely going to be tune in, guys. I'm just letting you know right now, this girl, Hall of Fame soon. Hall of Fame on the reporters, all that.
Dang. Okay. Speak life into me. I love it.
But yeah, thanks
All right.
for tuning in, hopping on.
Thank you, guys. Thanks for listening. And yeah. Bye.
We did it.
Good job, Zozo.
Yay!